Welcome to O-Talkin' with Dave. Put your hands together for the pastor of positivity whose glass is always at least half full. Here's Dave.
Hey, how we doing out there? I hope you're doing great. Ready for some O-Talkin'? I'm ready to talk. Sometimes I shouldn't be. I have people that would agree with that. Let me just start by saying that the title of this particular session is Let Them Be Wrong. Let them be wrong. Now, I know Mel Robbins has got she's wonderful, by the way, a whole new philosophy. Let them do this. If they want to do this, let them. I get it. I'm not taking her stuff. This is more about self-control around keeping your mouth shut. I've talked about that so much. Shut up, be quiet, pause. And I'm talking to myself. I'm not talking to you necessarily. Let me look. The other day, actually it wasn't the other day, it was a few months ago, and I remember this and it stuck with me. But I was at a gathering with some friends, some people I knew, some people I didn't. But one particular person was very loud and very confident, talking about coffee. I love coffee. I drink coffee. I have an espresso machine. I've even got some of those little coffee pouches. I have a problem. I love coffee. I'm fascinated by it. My son worked at Starbucks for a long time and became a master something at Starbucks. So he knows coffee. This person was talking about how coffee comes from, really, it's the root of the plant. The root. Have you never seen a coffee bean? Anyway, it kept going and people were looking at each other and rolling their eyes, but they were talking about how that's why the soil matters so much. Now, I know coffee beans grow on trees. They grow in mountainous areas, and there's a lot about it. They're like cherries on trees. So it's not the roots. Stop it. My inner fact checker was going crazy. I was already halfway up to the microphone and then thought, why, man? I don't need to correct this. There's no coffee emergency happening here. Are we about to plant a bean tree in his yard or start digging up roots? And part of it was everybody knew that what's going on? I thought it was a joke at first. It reminds me of the time my middle sister, she was, I don't know, an adolescent, but she was convinced that squirrels laid eggs and that pimentos were little fish. This was similar. I actually went back to that, and that helped me calm down. But in this case, what adult thinks coffee comes from root? Anyway, so I just let it go. I let it go. And you know what? The conversation moved on. Eyes quit rolling. The food came off the grill, and it was great. We had a good time. Yeah. He'll find out the truth one day. Maybe you should Google something before you're so confident. How to grow coffee. Go ahead. I'm not going to drink any of your root tea right now. Sassafras. Maybe he was thinking sassafras tea. Doesn't that come from the roots? I don't care. But maybe, who knows? Maybe his life will be fantastic thinking. That's when it hit me. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is just walk away, or just mentally walk away for yourself and them. Just let them be wrong. There's no harm. Now, if he said, the guys convinced me to put $5 million in a coffee root farm, you might take him aside or something, but maybe not even then. Just let him be wrong. So I have a challenge. I have a need to correct the record or correct something I know to be wrong. I can see my kids look at me when somebody's saying something that is just, I know to be blatantly wrong, and they know I know it's wrong, and they can just see me squirm a little. And they're like, oh, look at Dad. Look at him. He's going to pop a blood vessel. Yeah. And where does that come from? Now, psychologists say the urge to correct others is rooted in a bunch of different things. Maybe it's ego. Being vulnerable here, people. Maybe it's ego. somehow I am threatened by misinformation. I don't know. Maybe if it's music about music I love or about something I'm really knowledgeable about and really care about, maybe that's it. Maybe I don't want that misinformation to be passed on. Sometimes maybe it's like a competence signaling. I want to be seen as knowledgeable. Subject matter expert, possibly. How I feel about experts. Also, there's a term called cognitive dissonance. And that's just discomfort when hearing something that's wrong. My son, I believe, has this. I believe he has this because we'll be in a situation and I'll recap the situation to somebody else and I may quote something that was said. Then he said this, or then I said that, or the guy on stage, oh, he was hilarious. Here's what he said. If I'm not exact, he'll say, and he'll do it in a good way. Actually, he said this, which might mean the same thing, but I've just taken, years of talking. I've taken some liberties like preachers, ministerially speaking. But and that can be uncomfortable because you have that need. You can't, I got to get that so we can move on or so I can move on. I have a little more sympathy for that. And then part of it could be just a control orientation, a need for order or accuracy. It may not even be a big deal later on. However, it's hard for some people to move on if the path is scattered behind them with inaccuracies. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is with me. Think about what it is with you if you have this problem. Some people don't. Some people don't. I don't think my wife does. I don't think my daughter does as much, just as far as, it's got to be right. Oh, they said this. That's not correct. And this is at homework and play. I'm not going to get into this. I usually do. I'm not going to get into the differences of all of them because I think they all come from the same place. I don't know. But the stats around this it's a little bit of an eye-opener. 62% of people admit they correct other people either often or very often across the board, even outside of work. Work, a lot of times you need to be corrected, but also correcting can also be threatening depending on who you are. I remember when I moved up in a company, I was warned, look, at this point, if you correct somebody, that means something. That's not only correcting the record, that is, that's a person of authority doing this. Now, what does this mean to my career? Is my job at stake? And so you learn that. But this is even outside of work. I think it could be considered a personality trait. 62% admit they do that. I don't feel so lonely now. Also, around 30% of people are highly conscientious. They're rule followers. They're more prone to correct. I'm a rule follower. Now, I'll bend that rule till it is about to pop, but I follow the rules. And sometimes accuracy in what's said or what's determined, that's important. And correcting is not always wrong. That's why we're going to talk about it. People who are highly conscientious often score higher in disagreeableness. So if you look at that, they're very conscientious, but they're more disagreeable. Now, these people, they're not disagreeing. They're just not necessarily. They're just correcting the record. I love the meme that's going around and a bunch of people are stealing it and reenacting or whatever, but it's the one I saw. It's the man is sitting there saying, for 28 years, all you've done is correct every mistake I've made. And the lady goes, it's 29 years. And it's just, I thought it's great. But that's part of it. Sometimes you can't go on with that big falseness out there. And online, corrections get 70% more engagement than just to ignore it. That feeds the urge to jump in. They study that at MIT around the correction. It's the one-upsmanship. It's the correcting the record. It's the subject matter expert. It's you don't know what you're talking about. It's, yes, but it's glamming on to something. And it's great. It gets clicks. It's, what we got going on here, which feeds the behavior. I don't correct the record like that. No, that's trolling in my book. But let's think about it. Correcting, even constructive correction, meant to help. What does that do? What's the destructive side of that? And I think about this. I'll often beat myself up later. And I'm a work in process. I don't know about progress, but it's in process. So what does it do? It damages relationships. It really does. Corrections can feel like personal attacks depending on how you do it. It can. And it's really, it's almost like bullying sometimes. When that happens, you're damaging a relationship, especially depending on the environment. If it's at work or if it's in a situation where someone is trying to build a social structure or trying to make friends or do something with their statements, like Mr. Coffee Root up there. Maybe he was really trying to impress a lady or trying to be, I don't know, any correction that could hurt that situation or embarrassed, or he may have been volatile. Ooh. Yeah. So it damages relationships. Also, there's a loss of influence there. Too much setting people straight, it makes them tune you out. Just, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, okay. Oh, there you go again. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the input. Good on you. Yeah, they tune you out. And when they tune you out there, they tune you out on other things. And these are people that maybe you want or need in your life. So you lose your influence. Also, it can escalate conflict. You push them into defending themselves and boom, it transitions to a much harder situation. Conflict, defensiveness, Mortal Kombat, just because, hey, you know what? I think it's a bean, not the root. Oh, okay. All right. Ooh, no, my bad. And then also there's a missed learning there. People learn best through, I don't know, self-discovery. Self-discovery. That guy's going to find out he was wrong and just let that happen. He'll probably be embarrassed about it. But to point it out, I'm not in charge of his learning curve. And that could be a problem. That might be the only thing, I'm not even going to call it negative, the only ignorance this guy has. And so by doing that, there's a missed learning about a relationship that could happen or about what else he has to offer. Or the other way around. Now he thinks I'm just a jerk. He may be half right. He may be. And then just the whole emotional drain. It's an emotional drain. You carry stress that isn't yours. Why do I feel the need to correct? We've talked about that. Okay, now it's on me. Just let it go. We're going to talk about how in a minute. But just let it go. No, why? Do we not have enough on our plate that now we have to do that? Yeah. So who's impacted? The person you corrected are. You are. And the thing is, the awkwardness or mistrust around the audience, everybody that's around. Now, if it's one-on-one, it's still destructive. However, if it's in a group or more than just two people, all right, now you've impacted other people. So how do we resist it? How do we resist it? And this is when we are not at our worst. I'm not going to say at our best, but when we're not at our worst, there's ways to resist the temptation to correct, but you got to be quick. If you're quick-witted and quick-tongued, God bless you. I understand. I understand. I just posted 10 things. I do top 10 lists all the time, but 10 things that popped out of my mouth before I could stop them when somebody was oversharing. And those were so real. So how to resist it? First of all, ask yourself, is this going to matter in a week? No. Most of the time, no. You can ask tomorrow, in a day, in a week. I wouldn't go any further than that because nothing's going to matter that further out that you're going to just spontaneously correct. Yeah. The pause. How many times have I said the pause? I should start some sort of animal clinic called the pause and bring in, and it's just, okay, just make people wait in the waiting room. There's no clinic here. I'm just trying to make you pause. I just came up with that. Zing! Look at that. But count to 10. Just relax. The fourth time he says, okay, all right. If he says coffee roots one more time, I got to say something. But maybe you won't. Then another way, just remind yourself, this is not my story. This is not my assignment. I'm not in charge of this reality or this outcome? That's a very mature way to look at it. And that's going to help in a lot of other things. And channel your energy into something else that matters. Look at it. Oh, man, he's a snazzy dresser. Look at that. Where did he get that shirt? I like that. You know, and the glasses, man, I would look so smart in those glasses, and I could jump so high if I had those shoes while he's talking about coffee roots, and then I can ask him that later. Now, not only have I not corrected him, I'm going to compliment about something. Look at something else. Look at the group. Think about, okay, I'll go over there and talk. Or I'm thirsty. Hey, how about this? Or I think the food's burning. Maybe I should go to the grill and whatever. Channel energy into something else. You can do this at work as well. And then just make a mental bookmark. That's probably more practical for me. All right, let me put a bookmark right there. I'm going to pause. I'm going to count to 10. I'm going to realize this is not my assignment. I'm going to channel my energy somewhere else. But if I can't stand it at some point, I'm going to go back to that bookmark and go, never mind. You know what I'm saying. And other alternatives. If you can't shut up, just ask a question. Interesting. How long have you been looking at this? Wow. And that's around the world? Or what's your sources on this? I'm a coffee guy. Much different than correcting the record. Or maybe you put them aside or whatever and talk about different things, different coffees, or arrange some sort of rapport with this person that's uncoffee related. Or, I don't know, maybe drop a coffee pamphlet as a coaster. And then let experience be the teacher. Yeah, there are ways to speak. It's hard for me to shut up. Ways to speak without correcting. And then when you just can't help yourself, just keep it respectful. Focus on an idea, not a person. Check your motives here. And this is big. Depending on who it is. There's a lot of gotchas. If one of your enemies or foes or people who do this is making these statements, all right, are you trying to help or are you trying to win? Are you trying to belittle? What's your motive here? And then most of the time, keep it one-on-one. Maybe later, dude, that whole coffee root thing you said earlier, pretty sure they come from the beans and not the roots. And maybe he's going to explain something, maybe some new research you didn't know, but it's one-on-one. Wow, you're kidding. Wow, they mash up the roots and steep them, and I didn't know that. Boom, you keep from embarrassing yourself, but you keep it one-on-one. That soften that approach with, I could be wrong, but here's a different angle I was thinking about. Let's talk about it. There's different ways. And you know this, we're adults. What I'm talking about are those people out there who are kind of like me, who blurt it out. Yeah, come on, dude. Or you just start laughing at them. Like I do my sister when she talks about squirrel eggs or pimento fish. Please. So when you do restrain yourself, and I need to do a 15-part series on restraint. I'm procrastinating doing that. So here's some positive things that restraint brings. To remember these. It brings more peace here. It's not my project. It's not my bridge to build. It's not my mountain to climb. Peace. Now I can go on and think about something else. Or I can dismiss it immediately when you get better at it. The relationship with me and this person, or me and these people. Maybe it's a whole group at work. They've come up with something. I remember we used to do projects. We would spend a day or two on a project, and then we would present it to a VP or a president of the company, and we had 20 slides, and we would get to slide 2, and boom, they would just, this is wrong. These numbers can't be right, blah, 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 blah. That's how they talk, blah, 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 blah. They're correcting us. And there's ways to handle that too. However, they just alienated this whole team. They put us on the defensive. We got proof these numbers are right if he can let us get to slide 8. But from his perspective, boom, they're wrong. And he may be right in some ways. However, wow, that's a problem. So restraint helps. It's better relationships. There's more respect. More respect in that particular situation. Just wait and hear it out. And then, okay, there's ways to handle that. But more respect individually with the group. And a lot of this, it's not in a group. It's one-on-one. Hear them out. There's something there. You may have, in minute 2, instead of correcting, in minute 25, oh, okay, I get it. That's where they're coming from. So just, you get more respect, a better relationship, and more peace. And then, honestly, you got more energy for things that matter. I'm not going to spend all of my energy on this. They may dig in, and you're not going to get to what needed to be gotten to. Yeah. And also, you get freedom from their mistakes, but also you get some grace with your mistakes. It's good. Restraint is good. Restraint is good. So, what are some ways that your example is going to help other people and bring you more peace? Because that's important. Your peace is so important. And how do you get through some of this stuff? When you're modeling patience and self-control, when my kids watched me grind over someone saying that Styx sang a Kansas song, when I held my tongue and when I didn't bring it back up and I let them be wrong, wow, they were impressed. They were doing this kind of thing. Oh, look at Daddy's. Oh, he didn't say anything. Wow. I know that was rough for him. Boom. There are a lot of other examples of this. It's really the same thing. It's really the same thing. And Styx did not sing Point of No Return. I'm correcting it now because I couldn't then. Wasn't the right thing. Point of No Return. Come on. It's the name of a Kansas album. Styx didn't sing that. That's worse than Coffee Roots in my book. But I modeled patience and self-control. My kids got that. Other people get it too. Other people probably know, or some others probably know, the record. And the fact that they know and you didn't say anything, that's modeling patience and self-control. That helps other people. That brings other people peace. Plus, it gives other people room. Wow, I don't have to be dead on every time and worry about Dave or somebody correcting me. Forget others. Dave showed patience. Shocker. It gives other people room for mistakes and room to grow. Also, it brings calmness. Have you ever been in situations where everybody was having to wordsmith or walk on eggshells because they needed to get it right? Maybe they're trying to impress. Maybe they're trying to relate or just adapt. Man, if every word is under scrutiny, this is exhausting. So it creates a calmer environment. Yeah. And then it honestly shows dignity. Dignity beats being right. Dignity beats winning. And you don't come across as that person in the 3rd grade who took names when the teacher left the room. That's what ultimately correctors are seen as. Maybe that's why they call them correction officers. I don't know. So, think about it. Imagine the freedom of not having to jump into every argument or every misstatement or every bad take or perceptions. Imagine how much calmer you're going to be at home and at work and with your friends out on the golf course. I thought I was a sports fan, and I was around some people one time. And some of them were close friends, some were acquaintances, some were people I'm just excited to be out. I think we were at a trade show in Chicago, and we started talking about sports, and I thought I was a sports fan. Oh, no, not compared to these guys. Oh, they knew batting averages of people in the 3rd inning of the 4th game of a World Series in 1982. No, excuse me. I don't even remember who won the World Series last year. But I remember I was cheering for somebody. I can't remember. Okay. It's much calmer. But they were correcting the record. Of course, a lot of it was just giving each other the business. That's cool. But people will be wrong. People will be wrong. But when you have a more easygoing, calm, live and let live and a let them be wrong mentality, you're going to sleep better. Your relationships are going to be stronger. Your influence will grow because, hey, you showed them something rare, the strength to let it go. Other people will notice, and don't do it so they'll notice. They just will. Next time you feel that itch to correct, is it worth my peace? Is it worth what's coming next? Because this could be a road bump. If the answer is no, just let them be wrong. Because being right's good, but being free is so much better. So much better. Okay, so what about shift? What about how do you handle it when you're the one being corrected? Nobody likes that. Nobody likes it. But how you respond depends a lot on probably who's doing the correcting and what the setting is. If it's Randy in East Kentucky, I'm going to buy Randy a meal or an adult beverage sometime. Randy, next time I'm in Corbin, I'm calling you up. Anyway, that person, how do you do it? How do you do it when somebody corrects you? What's the best way? First thing, just swallow your ego and acknowledge it. A boss, a mentor, someone with authority is correcting you. Okay, all right. Just swallow your ego and acknowledge it. Fighting back's only going to make you look defensive. It's going to make you look like you got something to hide. And a simple, good catch. Thanks for pointing that out. Oh, thanks for pointing that out. Wow. Good catch. You use that too much, they're going to think, when he says good catch, that means he's pissed. But you don't have to grovel. You don't have to, I am so sorry. I can't believe I missed that. Oh, my goodness, I've got to do blah, blah. No, good catch. Thanks for pointing that out. And then move on. Okay? I deflect with humor a lot. And try to deflect with humor without being snide. I wanted to use that word. Snide or sarcastic. Tough. Like a peer calls you out or a friend, especially in public. Humor can take the sting out of it. Sometimes it can sting ferociously. However, I'll update my resume later as a temporary employment. Or I need to find dumber friends. I've used that a lot. My friends are too smart. I need to find dumber friends. That's a compliment. And a little self-deprecation. That always helps. Keeps the mood light. Yeah. The main thing is don't show that you're rattled, because a lot of times that's why they're doing it. They're trying to rattle you. And then many times you can just ask for clarification. If it's someone you don't really know, you don't know how much you respect them or how much you trust them or trust what they said, ask for clarification instead of bristling and coming back at them. Interesting. What makes you say that? It forces them to explain themselves. It puts them not necessarily on the defensive, but in a posture of, okay, tell me more. Like that. It proves their point or exposes their nitpicking. That's a lot of it. So that way you're gaining information and insight into them and why they did that. They may be right. But you can learn. It's good. And then a couple of things, and this is true in many areas. Acknowledge in private, but defend in public. This is very important, especially in situations where reputations are at stake. If you're connected in front of a group and there's somebody doing, if somebody is criticizing or correcting, and maybe they're an equal or even a subordinate, maybe it's in a social scene where it's a bunch of good friends and a new guy, or someone that wants to be with the in crowd, or someone who has had it with this crowd, all these different things. Public correction, it can undercut your credibility. And what we said earlier, man, that was brutal. I'm just not going to say anything. Whew. Did you hear what Dave said to that guy? Man, handle it gracefully in the moment. Fair point. Well, we'll circle back and get that later. All right, my memory's bad, so let me finish because I'll forget the rest of my story. And then we can come back to your point. Yeah. But if it's serious, pull them aside privately and address it. And once you pull them aside privately and address it, then I probably got a few tips on how to do that, depending on how deep you want to cut. However, okay, acknowledge Acknowledge it. Defend it in public and then acknowledge it in private, but don't make it a thing. And then there's a difference between the message and the delivery. Whether it's a family or a spouse, correcting can be messy. So often it's how they correct, not what they correct. I can say, I hear you, and you may be right. But the way you brought it up made it harder for me to take it in. Which is the same thing as, it's not what you said, it's how you said it. Yeah. There are thousands of pimentos dying in streams all over America. Oh, how would you like a squirrel egg omelet? Oh, wash it down with some coffee root. Look at me. See, I got a problem. I'm correcting stuff from 40 years ago. Still. Yeah. However, when you think about it, especially with family and close people, they probably get you, man. It's probably not that big a deal. However, you don't know what happened to them today, a few minutes ago. What's going on? And you care about these people. So you got to acknowledge their input when they're correcting you, and then understand that it could be a delivery thing. Bottom line is, being corrected is never fun. Never. But your response, a lot of times it deals on who's doing the correcting. An authority deserves acknowledgement. Peers respond well to humor. Critics deserve questions. Okay? But family, that's separating content from tone. Really. Because it's important. Family. We treat family worse than we do strangers sometimes. So let's think about it. How do we do it without making them feel like you're just a big jerk, or making everybody in the room feel like you're just a big jerk? Frame it not as a correction, but as an addition. Instead of, that is wrong, point of no return, nope, Kansas, not sticks. No, that's not. But it may be another thing. I can see why you would say that. And I'm very familiar with their account, and I love it. Oh, I love all of their stuff. And then you can talk about different things. Or if it's something that's less blatantly wrong, that's true, but here's another way to look at it. I'm sure you could make coffee out of the roots, but I think a lot of times the bean produces a better product. Please help me. But by doing that, agreeing to some degree, but then add something to it in the form of correction, or adding to the point. You're not tearing it down necessarily. It works best with like peers or colleagues where some ego is in play. To add to that point, or to carry on what he was saying, you can carry on and then take a left. Also, blame the information. That's so easy now. Blame the information, not the person. Instead of, oh, you misunderstood. No, the date on this has changed. I remember my niece, Molly, she was doing a report at school, and instead of using the internet or whatever, because I don't even know if that was available, she was using World Book encyclopedias from my mom's house. I think those were published in the 60s, so that information was not up to date. Maybe the dates changed on information. It used to be this, but now I think it's evolved into something else. So it's not the person, it's the information. Molly wasn't wrong. World Book, published in 1968, did not apply in the early 2000s. Yeah, that works because people don't like feeling stupid. Shift the blame to the facts and where they got them instead of the person. Oh, that happens a lot. I heard someone the other day, they did this very well. Someone was quoting a news article. And it wasn't a news article. It was an opinion piece. And this person would, oh, really? Huh, where do you get your news? Where are you getting this information? And they were said, oh, I get it. I found that once I hear the story in 3 different areas, I probably get a better rounded view because some people are a little more slanted. But yeah, I heard that same take on that. Easy going, great way to put it. And then a lot of times, I think it's great just to ask a question. Instead of, you're wrong. Okay, are you sure about that? I thought it was handled differently. I thought it came out differently. Maybe you're recapping a meeting or recapping what somebody said or an event. I thought there was something different or something additional. I thought I could be wrong too. It works because you're giving them a graceful exit, but also you're letting them correct themselves. Works beautiful in public settings. I think I heard something different about that, but I can check my sources. Where did you hear that? You just asked for maybe an update. And then a shared mistake. Offer a shared mistake. Instead of, oh, you messed that up. It's, you know what? I've made the same assumption before. Turns out actually, in sales, that's a feel, felt, found. Feel, felt, found means I see why you feel that way. I used to feel the same way, but I found this is the case. It's totally my experience. It works because I put us both in the same boat, and solidarity takes away the sting. We're in this together. We've both felt this way before. I've moved to here, you're here, let's go here together. Especially if you're correcting somebody or somebody that's younger who's saying wild, crazy things, and you don't want to be the fuddy-duddy or the mentor that no one selected you to be. It actually builds rapport. And then what I do more than anything, and it improperly sometimes, is use humor to soften the blow. Instead of, nope, that's not right. That's close. You're in the right neighborhood, just in the wrong house. You're on the right planet, just in the wrong, Humor lowers defenses. It makes correction feel like a nudge, not just a jack slap. I think it's important. All of this, is it life-changing? No, I think the main thing is get over, as much as you can, your tendencies. For selfish reasons. More peace, more joy, less inner conflict. And then for other reasons, all right, for other people. To help or guide, although no one's asking for it, but to not make other people feel awkward or in a tense situation. So you're doing it for yourself, but other people benefit from it, which adds to your peace and joy. So correcting others is more about how you do it than what you say, but the goal is to preserve their dignity, getting the truth on the table if you can't help yourself. So I hope this helps. It's a purple car thing, man. I carry the clicker around. Boom, I did it. Boom, I did it. Oh, why did I do it? Oh, I corrected people 63 times today. And when you can tell that you're overdoing it, I corrected people 63 times today. I only got corrected twice. I'm not that smart. So it's out of balance. All right. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. Hit me up at David@otalks or David Otalks or OWD@otalks.com. I forgot about some of these. I got something the other day. I'm thinking, what is that? Oh, that's also an email I've got. Look at the website. Do whatever. I got merch. I don't sell it, but you can buy it. But thanks so much. I can't wait. I've got a bunch of Making a Good Place Better seminars coming up. If you're in them, fantastic. If you're not, tell somebody. That's a shirt coming out. So I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Thanks for the support. And thanks for Talking with Dave. Giddy up.